Good morning, and welcome to UUCSR, the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Shelter Rock. My name is Sandra Frank, and I am the worship associate today. We are delighted to have you here with us, whether you are a longtime member or a first-time visitor. We welcome you to this loving religious community where we support each other in our spiritual growth. Together, we strive to build a more just and joyful world. In our universal Unitarian tradition, we embrace a non-creedal approach, drawing wisdom from a rich tapestry of sources, from scientists and philosophers to seekers, artists, and activists. We find inspiration in the diverse voices that explore the mysteries of our existence. We do not hold any one particular text as sacred here. Instead, we draw from many sources, from the ancient sages who asked profound questions and crafted parables to help explain the universe, to modern-day prophets in realms such as art, science, and social justice. We also honor the wisdom that comes from our lived experiences. Each of us brings a unique perspective, contributing to the vibrant mosaic of our community. Here, there are no hardline dogmas. We cherish the mystery, wonder, and the endless questions that guide our journey. Our focus is less on what you believe and more on how you act. It is less about who you love and more about how you love. Today, as we explore the theme of questions of the heart, let us embark on this extraordinary adventure together. May we open our hearts and minds, embracing the questions that lead us to deeper understanding, greater compassion, and a more connected community. And speaking about community, we invite you to our annual summer orchestra concert, which is going to be held here at Shelter Rock in just 2 weeks on Sunday, August 4th. This year, we are featuring our resident keyboard artist, Nathaniel Lanasa, and our alto section leader, Leah Wool, in works by Beethoven, Cantaloupe, and Shang, both accompanied by full orchestra. You can register online and visit our website for more information, but also if you're not registered, you can also be here. So there are also flyers available in our lobby with more information, and we again invite you. It's going to be a joyous event. Additionally, we are calling all artistic poets, sculptors, photographers, and other creative people of UUCSR. The Art Committee is inviting you to share your artistic vision with the congregation. This year, our show is going to begin on August 18th, so it can run through our homecoming Sunday, and that way be available, hopefully, for all to see. And again, we have a flyer in the lobby when you pass the door if you want to learn more about that. And now, we invite you to settle in as to fully experience, let us join together to fully experience our service. As we gather today, we light the chalice as a symbol of our shared journey. This flame represents the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. In the spirit of our theme, Questions of the Heart, I share with you these words from poet and philosopher Rainer Maria Rilke. Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves, like locked rooms and like books that are now written in a very foreign tongue. As we light this chalice, may it remind us to embrace the questions that stir within us. May we find the courage to explore them with open hearts and minds. And may this light guide us towards deeper understanding and connection. Please, we invite you to stand as you are willing and able to join in singing hymn number 347, Gather the Spirit.
You may be seated. I am the Reverend Israel Buffardi. I am one of the ministers of this congregation. I'm the Associate Minister for Member and Community Engagement. So if this is your first time here, or if If you've been here for a long time and you've never met me or never had a conversation with me, I welcome you to come and introduce yourself to me at some point. And today I have the pleasure of asking you to ask me questions. Questions are at the heart of Unitarian Universalism. Some religions, some spiritual communities have catechisms where they have a written question and response answer to all of the questions, so to speak. In some places, you may be told what to believe or be led to believe that all of the answers are neat and tidy, even if they're not always that way. But here we question the status quo. We question the answers. We question our own questions, even. Here we are heretics. Heretics in the sense of the actual root of the word comes from Greek, aretikos, which means able to choose your own path, able to choose the actions that you want to take to make this world a better place. Able to choose, able to question. And from that we get the word in Latin, which is caerere, meaning to seek. And the word questium, meaning to doubt or interrogate. So perhaps you are one of those folks who ended up here because you doubted or interrogated a tradition somewhere else, or you doubted or interrogated the certainty that was presented to you in many places in the world. You doubted, you wanted to be able to question and be able to choose what makes sense to you. And so you are here now with a group of other people who are also doubting and questioning and seeking and wanting to choose the path that makes sense for them and the needs of our world. Questions are amazing. I love them. I love questions. Anyone who has been around small children knows that they ask lots of questions. And of course, they may also question the answers that you give to them. Why? 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 And it forces you to have to explain this world that we move about in and understand it better for yourself. When you take a questioning approach, the world becomes so full and so wide and so mysterious and so beautiful because it makes you see things anew with new eyes, with questioning eyes. And it forces you to have to be an active participant in building and explaining and creating this world. So I pose to you today that questions are one of the most creative things we can imagine. And no, I will not give you all of the answers today, but I will allow us to ask questions together and to think about what we are building, what we are creating in this unique life that we share. So today, like I said, you get to ask me questions. And so hopefully when you came in this room, you got one of these index cards and something to write with. If you did not get one and you still need one, we have them in the back of the room there. You're welcome to get up and get one, or if you need someone to bring you over one, you can also raise your hand and you'll get a question card and something to write with. So a little bit later in the service, we'll be collecting your questions. And so what you're invited to do is to think about some of those big, wondering questions that are on your heart, that you'd like to hear me try to wrestle with and respond to and come up with an answer or perhaps another question that relates to your question. And I will do that today. Maybe you're sitting there wondering what kind of questions you ought to ask. Well, they could be big questions like, why is there something instead of nothing? Why do my wishes sometimes come true when I feel like I've made them just the right way, and why usually not? Why is an unfulfilled wish sometimes exactly what was needed? Why is it so hard for people to love each other and treat each other well? Why do we love firm answers over questions? Why did I become a minister? You're welcome to think of any questions that come to mind and pose them today, even if they're curiosities about me or about this congregation or Unitarian Universalism or about the meaning of life. And so I invite you to begin thinking of those. And if you have one, to start writing them down. You have a little while to write them down. And so now to get you thinking, I invite you to imagine the night sky. To imagine ourselves as people gazing up at the night sky, looking at all those stars in the sky, trying to understand, trying to make sense of the many distant points of light you see. Remember, we are searchlights that can see in the dark. We are billions of beautiful hearts. And it's the start of us waking up to those points of light and saying to ourselves, I don't want control, I want to let go, to embrace the mystery. Are you ready? As you begin to think of your questions, I invite you to listen to this song, What About Us, by Aleka Moore, John McDaniel, and Steve Mack, sung by Sarah Moulton Foe.
We are searchlights we can see in the dark. We are rockets pointed up at the stars. We are billions of beautiful hearts. And you sold us down the river too far. What about us? What about all the times you said you had the answers? What about us? What about all the broken happy ever afters? What about us? What about all the plans that ended in disasters? What about love? What about trust? What about us? We are problems that need to be solved. We are children who want to be loved. We were willing, we came when you called. But you fooled us, enough is enough. What about us? What about all the times you said you had the answers? What about us? What about all the broken happy ever afters? What about us? What about all the plans that ended in disasters? What about love? What about trust? What about us? Sticks and stones, they may break these bones, but then I'll be ready. Are you ready? It's the start of us waking up. Come on, are you ready? I'll be ready. I don't want control, I want to let go. Are you ready? I'll be ready. 'Cause now it's time to let them know we are ready. What about us? What about all the times you said you had the answers? So what about us? What about all the broken happy ever afters? What about us? What about all the plans that ended in disasters? What about love? What about trust? What about us? 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 What about us?
We remind ourselves about our deepest values and of our collective commitment to centering love in all we do by reciting our words of acclamation. Please rise in body or spirit and recite with me. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind. This do we affirm and covenant with each other. And now our song of affirmation. You may be seated, please. Each Sunday, we take a special collection which extends our vision of beloved community by supporting work in the world which addresses human need. This month's collection will support the Pink Haven, which partners with the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee to assist in the urgent task of relocating trans and gender-expansive people from unsafe states to safer ones in these United States. As anti-trans legislation continues to create a community of internally displaced people in this United States, the need for congregations and communities offer support and welcoming is increasing. We ask you to please give as generously as you can. You can see online, and if you have the order of service, how you can do this.
After we do this meditation, we'll have a piece of music, and then there will be a time of instrumental music when we will come around and collect your questions. So I invite you, if you haven't thought of a question, to spend some time during this meditation thinking about what your curiosities might be, what you might like to ask, what you might like to hear someone else, like I said, wrestle out loud with, even if the answer is hard to pinpoint. So I invite you now to know yourself in this room, to bring yourself into your heart, to take a moment to feel yourself in your body. You may do that as simply as putting your feet flat on the floor and closing your eyes or softening your gaze and taking a breath. Reminding yourself that no matter what you carry into this room, the joys, the sorrows, the concerns, no matter what you carry in your heart, whether it is full and warm and whole, or whether it feels broken or jagged, whether it is somewhere in between, that you are here on this day, a beautiful, unique day. One that you have never experienced before. One that will reveal its mystery to you in time. One that gives you the opportunity. Gives you the opportunity to meet the challenges presented to you with love and compassion and curiosity. So hold this day and this gift of life in your heart. Hold the creative power of questioning. Listen to what your heart is trying to tell you, where it is trying to call you, and feel your breath. Bringing you forward with each breath. Nourishing your body, warming your heart. And know that you are here with other people. May you listen now for the questions, for the mystery, for the wonder, for the awe, and the life that flows through you right now. May this music now remind you that when the world feels dark, to look for stars, to keep searching for meaning, to be sure on this shining night of star-made shadows around, of something that is greater than ourselves, that kindness must watch for each of us. That we must watch for each other. For all of you who have written down questions on your cards, we'll come around now and we'll collect them. And if they keep popping up and you want to ask them later, you'll have the opportunity to do that too. So if you have a question on your card, find one of the folks who are coming around. You have a lot of questions. How many of you are trying to stump me today? I'm going to try to answer as many of these as I can, and if I am not able to answer all of them, I will find some other way to provide some kind of response to them. So if you had a question in here that I don't get to, and you want to follow up with me, you can always do that too. I'll just go with one of the ones that I just first picked out here. And someone asked me if there's life after death. I have yet to meet anyone who's come back and provided an answer to that question, so I have no idea. I don't personally know what happens after we die, just as I suspect nobody in this room can say definitively. However, I will tell you this. The most profound response... does anyone watch... is it Stephen Colbert? You watch his show? He has this thing that he does with a lot of his guests called the Colbert Questionnaire. And he asks them a bunch of questions, and what do you think happens after we die is one of the questions that's usually included. And one of my favorite responses to that question was given by Keanu Reeves, the great Canadian-American philosopher. And he said, "I don't know, but I know that the people who love us will miss us." And that is, to me, the most profound answer I can give you to that question. It is that what you do here matters in this life, whether you believe that this is it or that there is more. What you do here matters because what you do has echoes that you leave behind, whether that be on the physical earth itself, whether the marks you leave behind have are impactful on our earth, are impactful on the communities in which you live, and of course, on the people that you love. That, to me, is a better reward than any other promises that may be out there. But it's also not easy to accept the mystery of that question, and it is one that is on my heart every day. Not so much what will happen after I die, but how will I use the time that I have here most beautifully, most meaningfully, most connectively with those I care about. I see someone here asks, I recently read that to truly love, is to love the unloved. What do you think? Something that I've read about love is that it is this profound ability, or I would say it is an intentionality that we cultivate in ourselves, to see not just our own needs in this world, but to be able to imagine what it's like to inhabit someone else's life, and to be moved by the things that they care about, to be moved by their pain and suffering, and to be moved by their joy, and to be moved by their needs. And so I would say that, to me, sort of to love, because it's another word. It's one of those words that is really hard to define. If someone asks you what love means, you could get a lot of different answers, just like the word God or something like that. You might get a lot of answers, and it might mean one thing to someone and something else to someone else. So I think, to me, it's sort of this ability to see in someone else that there is another consciousness in front of you, and that they are experiencing something, and to be moved by that. And to love the unloved, I do like that actually a lot. That's kind of a really interesting way of thinking about it. And I would say to love maybe what someone else feels like is unlovable in themselves, to love them despite that, to love yourself despite what you may feel is unlovable. That is truly something powerful. So in that sense, I do really like that. And maybe you might say that you can love something that might be unloved or unlovable, And maybe that doesn't mean it's something that you want to stay the same. It means it's something that you love the essence of someone or something, and you want to see it be better for itself and for the world too. That's another dimension of that. It's not just blindly accepting everything. It's knowing that something more beautiful, more just is capable, whether we're talking about another person or about our world or our country or a system that exists, is to love it and to want to see it be better for everyone involved. Oh, there's another what happens after we die. How do we prepare for big challenges to UU principles in the next 4 years? So if anyone needs some context for this question, we just had our annual General Assembly of the Unitarian Universalist Association. Many people who have been in UU for a long time might know about these things called the principles. Depending on where you are, there are 7 or 8 of them, and they have been used to describe what we are, who we are for a long time. And they are, I would say, ethical and humanist and loving principles for how to be in relationship with one another and lead a good life. And we have had a vote to change how we talk about Unitarian Universalism, and it switches from principles to values that hold love at the center, interestingly enough. The reason that this happened was because we actually have it written into who we are, that every so many years we have to question how we talk about ourselves and how we define ourselves. So I don't know if I'm understanding the question perfectly, but one thing I might say is that anytime there is change, it can be hard. If you're used to doing something one way, you're used to thinking about your relationship to the world in one way, and suddenly the language shifts a little. That can be challenging, and some people maybe were more or less happy with the change. To me, the exact thing that we ended up with or not was not the most important question. The most important thing to me was the fact that we have it written into our identity that we need to reevaluate that every so once in a while, and that we need to ask, is this way of talking about ourselves still relevant for the world, still what the world needs? However, you may also find the principles really meaningful, and that doesn't mean you need to stop using them and they need to go away too. You can make a change and carry who you were in the past and carry it into the future while also embracing something different. That goes for so many aspects of our lives. Okay. How can you believe in love when there is so much violence in the world? And how can you find love in loneliness? I don't know that I can conceive a world that is without what some might call violence or evil or treating each other poorly. I cannot conceive of such a world because it is not inhabited by things that are perfect. Just as you can wake up in the morning and look at the news and see everything that is unlovable, let's say, in the world, you can see everything that is wrong with the world, you can also wake up and see what is beautiful and loving in the world too. You can be moved by those things too. You can choose to see those things and look for them and find them. And you can choose to see what needs to be changed in the world too. And so for me, believing in love in the world is knowing that who I am, what I care about, is doing the right thing and recognizing that I'm imperfect. So by striving to do the best that I can to interact with my world, I can say that, yes, love is possible because it lives in me. I can feel it. I can know it when I interact with the people that I care about, who are important to me, my family, my children. And then I'm reminded, too, that to give up on the world is not an option, because there are people in this world that I care about. And to give up on looking for love and trying to create more of it is not an option. So whether I believe in it or not, it's what I must do. It's what I must do. So I might ask all of us to ask ourselves when we wake up in the morning is, how will I look for the things to love in the world, for the things that I must love in this world, and what are they asking me to do something about that violence, that ways that we mistreat each other in our society and in the world, and start from there. Not the ultimate answer, not this complete answer, because the world will keep going and creative people will find creative ways to get what they need and want, even if it harms others, and we must not always let that happen. We have a similar question maybe here, which is, what is an example of living our values in our daily lives? I think that's something, so we always, when we want answers to questions like these, we might want, if I care about democracy, I will go out and vote, and I will go out and help other people to vote, or if I care about people, I will go out and I will help people, and I will go out and I will volunteer, and I will go out and I will advocate, and all of those things. So you need to think about all of the things that are important to you, and think about the small ways that you can begin to make a difference and to start doing them. So like that's a simple answer to a very overly complex question, but so I could give you the practical answer is what I'm trying to say, because I think that many of you could probably come up with lots of things you could do to actively live your values and make the world better. And me as a minister, I start from a place of how I wake up in the morning and who I am at my core. And like I just said about how do I wake up and think about the things that are lovable in the world that need my attention? How do I cultivate gratitude for what is beautiful in the world and see what is beautiful? And to me, that gets me grounded in a place where I feel that I have the courage, the energy to go out and meet things that are less beautiful and harder to address. So they're not one or the other to me. It's a sort of a spectrum of ways that I have to be. It's something that I have to do to cultivate the energy to meet things that are difficult. And I don't separate them from one another. I don't think that I can just wake up and look at the beautiful trees and say, okay, my job is done here. If I stop there, then I might be missing something. Although maybe there are some days where I might need a little more of that. I'm enjoying, there's some pictures on some of these cards. There's another question about what happens when we die. What does it look like to live a life of purpose beyond the just getting things done? Is it like immersing yourself in life's adventures? Yeah, I love that. That's a great response to that question, I think. I like to think that one of the things that makes being a minister unique is not that I am better than anyone or not that I am holier than anyone, but that I have committed myself to living a life of purpose, to examining my actions, to trying to be something that my ideals say I should be. And that I'm constantly asking myself how I am doing with that, how I am measuring up, how I am falling short. And so that it's not that I necessarily do it better or do it more often than anyone else, but that I'm being constantly self-reflective on that, on what matters to me. That's, to me, what it means to live a life of purpose, is to be self-reflective, to ask questions of yourself and of the world. Some of them I apologize, but I can't quite read the handwriting, so if I haven't answered the question that you had, that may be one of the reasons. It's not because I don't like the question, just so you know. I'm just trying to sort through a couple more and make sure I want to answer one or two more here for you. This one's about how do we forgive the unforgivable? Wow. That is a really hard question for anyone, to forgive something maybe that someone else has done to them that might feel unforgivable, to forgive something that has happened that feels inexcusable. And it may be that for any one particular person, on some level you cannot. On some level you cannot forget something that has happened that is so unforgivable or so horrible. And it's not necessarily a bad thing to remember. We remember horrible things that have happened in history so that we don't repeat them, so that we can remind ourselves what led to it happening and how we can prevent it from happening again. So there is a positive aspect to memory. But I have heard it said, and this is an individual choice that any one person has to make, that forgiveness is something you do for yourself. It's not something you do for the other person who caused you harm. It is something you do for yourself. That is not to say that you do not seek accountability for an action that has occurred, but that you forgive it so that you can know that you are able to move on, that you have found some way to integrate it and make sense of it, even if you're, I'm not saying that it happened for a reason, but you find a way to integrate it into who you are and how you will move forward, and how you can begin to live again after something like that has happened, whether we're talking about something personal or not. And that maybe you can regain your strength so that you can turn back to that person or that force or that system and say, this is not okay, this cannot happen again, and so that you can call in other people to help you to make sure that doesn't happen again. And maybe that leads to repair of relationship or repair of a system, and maybe it doesn't lead to reconciliation, but it helps with healing. But that's also not to say that it is through any personal fault of your own if you cannot forgive something. It's a completely individual choice. All right, I'll do this last one really quickly, even though there's no simple answer. Why do bad things happen? And it's actually according to UU philosophy. I'll just say this. Anytime something bad happens in the world, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens within systems that we all inhabit, that we all are responsible for. So a bad thing happening here, in just the way that we say we're all interconnected and it matters, that we must all take responsibility for the bad things that happen. Bad things may happen because one individual powerful person or group seeks to do something or control something. Yes. Yes. But we can't dismiss ourselves from responsibility for something that happens, even if we are not the direct actors. And that to me, I think, is how we do something about what is the evil or the things that happen in our world that we want to see changed. I could take these questions that I haven't answered and create a whole new service from some of these, and maybe I will. And I only got to a small fraction of them. And so what I would encourage you to do is to keep asking them, and maybe if you didn't get your question answered, or even if I responded and it didn't give you the answer you wanted, maybe you will bring those questions with you and you'll discuss them with some other people today after the service. Or maybe you'll come find me and say, why didn't you read my question? And maybe we can talk about it. These are powerful things to ask questions, to reflect on what is important to us. So let's keep doing it together. And let's sing now, our closing hymn. It's Let It Be a Dance. It's number 311, reminding ourselves that meeting the challenges of the world is a dance that we must do together. Will you rise in body or in spirit and sing?
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. Reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind, let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. Time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sun shine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
You may be seated. I found one more question that I'll answer with my closing words. Someone asked me why my name is Israel. Israel, one of the possible meanings of that word is the one who wrestled with God. And in my belief, in my own personal development as a person, as a minister, I have wrestled much with who I am and ways that the world loves me or doesn't love me, and things I have done that are unlovable, and sought to find the blessings or the approval of the world, because in the Bible there is a story of Jacob who wrestles with who could have been thought of as God or an angel and wants to be blessed. And so to me it means, actually, perfect question for today. It means taking a questioning mindset to the world and not accepting things as how they are, and seeking to find what is lovable in myself and in the world, and to never stop questioning. So I send you out now to share yourself with the world what is lovable in you and in the world, to find that. And may the promise and the complexity of what you find set your mind ablaze. May you hold fast to what you find and to what life has taught you, and may you question everything, remembering that this world, this universe, is so much larger than our ability to comprehend. And when you have changed the world through your own questions, and when the mystery and the wonder and the complexity of the world has changed you, may you return again to this place and share what you have learned with each other.